Today we're going to be creating a birch tree landscape. Our learning target is I can create depth of space. We're going to start by using a roll of tape and peeling strips off that are going to mark where we want to put each one of our trees. I want you to have at least 4 birch trees today in your landscape. Some of them need to start from the top of the page and go all the way down to the bottom of the page. These trees are going to appear closest to us in the foreground. I'm doubling up on my tape, peeling off an extra strip for my trees. This is going to make them look wider. To create a sense of depth in my space, or to give the illusion that some trees are in the foreground and some trees are in the background, I need to have varying lengths of my tree trunks or different lengths of tape, marking off where I want my trees. Depth in art refers to the perceived distance or the illusion of distance from the foreground, which is the front of the image, the things that are closest to us in an image, and the background, the things that are furthest away in an image. Varying the lengths of our tree trunks is going to help us achieve this effect. Notice that all of my trees or all of my pieces of tape touch the top of my paper, but they have different lengths in how they go down to the bottom of my paper. The next step is to use a pencil to draw a line separating the ground from the sky. Your ground has to go up all the way to your smallest tree or your tree that's furthest in the background. Figure out whichever tree that is and start to draw your straight or wavy line, separating the ground from the sky. Next, use your pencil to also trace around each tree or each piece of tape. Now we can start to add color in the sky using watercolor paint. I used a special technique for my sky called the wet on wet method of watercolor painting. First, I just use water to paint each portion of my sky, and then I choose my colors by swirling my brush over top of a color and making dabs or dots in each section of my sky. This ends up having a really cool effect that almost looks like tie-dye. You're able to choose whichever colors you'd like today to paint your sky. Whether you want your landscape to look like nighttime or daytime is totally up to you. You can see that I'm using more water and adding more paint to fill in all of the white space above my pencil line, separating the sky and the ground. Don't paint the bottom because that's supposed to look like snow. Your painting is going to have to dry completely before peeling the tape off. Do not peel it off early. To create the tree bark on our birch trees, paint the side of a piece of cardboard with black paint. Hold the piece of cardboard at an angle. We don't want to hold it straight up and down. We want to tilt it at an angle. Start on the very left side of your trees and drag to the middle. You're going to need to keep adding more paint onto your cardboard as needed. you'll do the same steps on the right side of each tree. Hold the cardboard on the very edge of the right side, drag and pull to the center. This is a very simple and easy but very effective way to create real looking tree bark. Repeat these steps for each one of your trees, making sure that you only make the tree bark exactly where your trees are at and no further down the page. The final step is to add shadows from your trees that appear to be further in the background. You're going to use one color watercolor paint and paint some shadows, either going at a diagonal to the left or a diagonal to the right. For your shadows on the snow, you want to choose one of the colors of watercolor paint that you used for your sky. I'm choosing red. Again, wet your brush, swirl it over top of the color that you're choosing, and start to paint a diagonal line starting from the bottom of one of your tree trunks and going at a diagonal down to the bottom of the page. This next one is a little bit trickier because the big tall tree in the foreground is going to overlap my shadow. So I will have a bit of my shadow on one side of the biggest tree in the foreground, and then to the left I'm going to have another little bit of shadow. Watch how I do it. I went over my shadow lines a couple of times with more paint to darken them and make them more vibrant. And I'm done. Who's ready to get started?